All right, this is Soccer Chat Friendsgiving. As you can see, we have not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six. We have a whole buttload of people here in Soccer Chat because it is Soccer Chat Friendsgiving, and we are so excited that you are joining us here on this special episode as we come together. We're all recording this on Wednesday night, so like I said in the videos, I don't know when Friendsgiving is, but we're going to make it tonight, the night before, and get everybody involved with us tonight. As you are watching this live, whether it be on YouTube or you're watching it on Twitter, we want to thank you for watching and still participate in the chat as well. So that way you can get involved and put your answers out there. Before we get started into the questions and answers and just kind of talking about what we're thankful for when it comes to coaching, let's start off with Alberto. Kind of give everybody a quick background on you and how you got into Soccer Chat.
Sure. So I was actually really just looking more for a community that was really into soccer and really into talking about more of coaching. One of my questions was a few weeks ago was finding a mentor, which is like super big for me. But moving to a new state, finding Soccer Chat was super huge for me. It was really helpful finding coaches that, you know, coach the same way as I do and talk about the same stuff that I do, and it's been really helpful for me. So that's how I found Soccer Chat.
All right, let's go up next to Alex, the ever famous. He's a football kicker at Valparaiso, also a student assistant coach. Alex, give everybody a quick background on you and how you got into Soccer Chat. Alex, are you there?
Sure, yeah. Like you said, I'm from Valpo. I'm still currently a student there. I graduate this December. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
We got you. We can hear you.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so like you said, I'm currently at Valpo. I'm still a student. I graduate this December. And so yeah, trying to figure this out. But yeah, and I found Soccer Chat last fall just through Twitter. I probably saw someone's response, and since then I've listened every week, tried to participate as much as I can, and it's been an awesome community to be a part of, and have met a lot of people that I've bounced ideas off of already. So I'm very thankful for it.
And up next, we have with us all the way direct via satellite from Orlando, Miss Kat. How are you doing?
Hi, Sean. I'm good.
The lone weight lady of the night, but that's okay.
Okay.
Give everybody a quick background on how you got into Soccer Chat.
Yeah, so it's like a year, maybe a little bit longer ago. I was out at Wednesday night dinner with my boyfriend, Tristan, and he was like, hey, you got to check this thing out called Soccer Chat. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand Twitter. What does the hashtag mean? So we had to explain like all of this because apparently I am not cool. And I just kind of started like tweeting out like my responses, and then that led to conversations with other coaches about like my ideas or like why about certain things. And I haven't necessarily missed any. Sometimes I don't like participate. I just sit back and watch and kind of. Sometimes I don't think I've missed one since I started. Maybe I haven't answered all the time, but I'm always there watching.
Well, we are excited that you are a part of this with us. Up next, he's all the way from Carthage, but via Texas because he had to go back home. Because I think that's how they say it when you go back to Texas and you go back. I'm going back home. Mr. Ian Wilson. Ian, what's going on, buddy?
Not too much. How's it going, Sean?
Pretty good, pretty good. Gary, get everybody into how you got into Soccer Chat.
Oh, man. I think it started, we worked exact camp last year or whatever it was, in one of the summer camps, and ended up doing the men's national team game downtown Chicago. You, Cliffy Doesn't Surf, and who else was there? And Bianca. And then just kind of hopped aboard ever since.
We thank you guys for participating. As we had a couple people hop on as we were doing this. We were doing this live So as we have the soccer chat going on Twitter, you can join the conversation right now. If you're watching this, you can go on to @chatsoccer. Make sure to go on to your Twitter and type in the hashtag soccer chat so you can follow along. As the big thing is now everybody's introducing themselves. We just did that to let everybody know that who we are and what we're doing. We kind of went through of I'm gonna try to goodness gracious, I know what the word is, moderate this as much as I can. Oh, there we got a new one just come in, and as soon as he gets his microphone turned on, we're gonna let the man speak because he broke out just for us, the Blue Beast. Mr. Bush, are you there?
I am here. How are we today?
Listen to that voice, ladies and gentlemen. That is the voice of an angel. Oh my goodness. Also, another Soccer Chat alumni. Give everybody kind of how you got into Soccer Chat.
Oh, goodness. Through Gary, I guess through everything else in my soccer life.
The Gary Kearney Network.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you want to talk networks, you want to talk meeting and connecting. I don't know that there is, maybe besides for Sean and Nick, a better person to do that. I mean, Gary has networked obviously with just thousands of people around the world in this game. So I think he was on. Yeah, I think he was on. And then Kai was on. And so pretty close with both of those guys. And so when I started my podcast, I called Sean and said, hey, how do I do this? Thus, you see, we have dueling microphones here. You can see the matching happening. Yeah. So just trying to be like my guy here, and he helped me out and decided to say, hey, why don't you pop on and see, give me a chance to plug a little bit.
So if this is my bad.
No.
So if you're new to Soccer Chat, all it is you go on Twitter, you type in the hashtag Soccer Chat on Wednesday nights at this exact same time, and we just do Q1 A1. And if you don't know what that is we just put Q1 as a question, and if you have an answer, you don't even have to hit reply. You just type in A1, put your answer, make sure to put in the hashtag Soccer Chat. It's really simple, easy to do. As we are recording this, coaches are starting to get on the chat right now and introducing themselves, because we always want to make sure that everybody gets to know everybody, and we add those names to our networking. So literally everybody that's a part of Soccer Chat, we are all one massive big family, and that's why we are doing the first ever Soccer Chat Friendsgiving. Maybe I should change the name to Family Giving. I don't know. Friendsgiving sounds like a cool thing, and I think that's like the big term in the popular times these days. So the first question that we have tonight, and I'm going to try to moderate this as much as I can. So I'll probably go through and just kind of say a name of somebody to answer. So let's go with Ian to start off with, because I know this is something that is right up his alley. It's from Coach Mismer. With the final 8 women's soccer teams in the NCAA tournament competing this weekend, any predictions as to who will win it all? So Ian, will you go first on who you think is going to be there to win it all?
Good luck with that one.
Oh man, pick on me, and I'm all in the D3 world. So let me pull up what we have in the Division 1.
I'm sorry, Ian doesn't have his 7 monitors to be watching games right now. He's a little bit tied up. All right, so let's go to Clifton. You go ahead.
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot.
That's what you get for saying something.
I know. I'm trying to jab as much as I can. That's what I'm here for, really, just to be the jab guy.
We need one.
I think. I'll start by saying this is that I gotta shout out Kadani, and I feel like that was the USC Florida State game was probably, it was as good of a college soccer game that you could probably get, and probably I agree with him in his post conference, probably shouldn't have been a 1-4 that early in the tournament. That said, I think Florida State did a very good job of handling what is a very good team. So I think, that's probably a team that is going to make a deep run, finals, College Cup at least. You can't count on Stanford's obviously the number 1 overall and has not slowed down over the last 3 years. So I think, and you have healthy players at Stanford, and as everybody gets back over the course of the next few weeks, and this week has probably helped so much. Stanford, I think, top of the line. So I think those are probably your top two for me. Everybody at this point, when you get to this stage, nobody is a bad college soccer team. I mean, like, these are the teams that play collegiate soccer the right way, the way that's like the next step to the NWSL. So I think for me, between Stanford, Florida State, those are probably the ones that I would say are going to be huge.
And let's go to Kat as we just get joined on the Twitter chat by Coach Misuraka. I know I'm mispronounced that, but he's at University of Houston, Victoria, Texas, home of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Stone Cold Steve Austin, I know you're listening to your own podcast. If you're listening to this one, you got to go shout out to Coach Brandon at the University of Houston, Victoria. So Kat, who is your pick to win it all with the women's soccer tournament?
I mean, that's a great question. Like, there's so much good soccer there, but
if you pick a team, are all of your friends going to hate you?
No,
because it's not theirs.
No, I don't think so. Like, I loved watching Kadani with USC play, and that was a heartbreaker for me. But I really love the way UCLA and Stanford play, and I have a lot of respect for Amanda Cromwell and what she's done. So those are my two to get into the finals. And I think I would be happy with either one of them winning, just because they're both kind of soccer powerhouses, but the quality of players and just some of the stuff like their playmakers can do, like Jessie Fleming in the middle for UCLA is lights out. Like, I think she's hands down one of the best midfielders in the college game. Like, she's ridiculous. She checks her shoulder like 8 million times a game, which is pretty impressive for you. I just don't feel like you see that a lot. So I'm going to go with UCLA Stanford in the final and be really happy with whoever pulls it out, because I think it would be a hard fought match. I don't think any team from this point really is going to go down without a fight. So it's going to be a good elite Final Four getting into it.
All right, let's go to Alberto. Alberto, who do you got?
If I'm being completely honest, I'm working in the D3 boys side. So on the girls side, I don't really watch too much. But I'm a Southern California boy, so I would have
there it is.
UCLA.
There it is. I knew something was getting ready going. So Ian, have you had time to figure out who your pick is?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna end up going a little bit opposite of what someone said before. I'm gonna go Stanford and UNC. I think UNC is going to take UCLA, but we'll go Stanford over UNC in the final. I think Stanford's too strong from what I've seen of them this year.
All right, and Alex, who do you got in the women's finals?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Florida, and so I can't look past FSU. I watched their game against USF, and they're pretty fun to watch right now.
All right. I am going to go with Stanford. I have no ties to any of the teams except for I really like schools with smart kids who are also good at sports. I own a Stanford t-shirt, so therefore Stanford is my pick. And from what it sounds like, you guys saying that they're very, very good. So obviously I'm going to pick the winner. Let's see. Coach John Adams at Coach JQA. He says, go G-Town. I'm going to assume Georgetown. I'm not good with assuming things, but he has Georgetown as his pick. Let's see. Coach Brandon says he hasn't really got to watch the teams much, but he's going to have a chance tomorrow. As we get some other coaches who are hopping on, Coach Corey Reinard, as well as Colin Baker. We're excited that people are joining, whether you're watching us live now or you're participating with us or you're doing the Twitter chat with us. We are excited that you guys are getting on here. So of any of you, and we can start off with Ian because Ian's my big advocate for this. You know, a lot of people are probably watching or they're answering now on Twitter and they're saying things like, well, I haven't really watched the women's game, whether it's D1 level or D2, D3, whatever it may be. What is it about the women's game at any of the levels that you feel that, especially coaches, things that we can get from that and how much better it makes the game and it makes us as coaches just by viewing that and becoming a fan of that?
I don't think it's just like the college women's game in general. It's just like when we had our chat conversation the other day, talking about the U17 World Cup and how we failed to qualify for, not beating, who is it, Germany the other day. I think there's a lot to learn from watching all levels of women's soccer, not just, the NCAA level. I think there's a lot going on to take away. And as we talk about educating our current athletes, our youth club athletes, and kind of getting them to kind of really to get a real good look and feel, I think watching all levels of NCAA, NAIA, and JUCO soccer would be good.
Yes, I think the more soccer that we can watch, the better. And I know that especially in the women's game, there's so many good players. I know Nick had made the comment in one of our group texts that we need to watch more because these are the future players of our national team. And Clifton, I mean, you are the guru when it comes to analyzing the game and the analysis of the women's side, especially at the pro level. Are there players currently that we're going to be able to see in this tournament here in these next couple of days as we figure out who the national champion, as players that you already have on your radar that they're going to make an impact at the pro level?
Oh, I mean, clearly, I mean, Kat's already started off with, I think, what is thought to at this point to be the preeminent number one. I think at this point, it looks like Fleming's going to come out. You've got a bevy of players coming out of Stanford. I mean, their roster is just so loaded with senior level talent. And the draft just opened. The draft just opened a couple of days ago, and so I think you're going to look at it and see, Fleming, Davidson. Your Bunny Shaw is going to be she's kind of my sleeper out of Tennessee. She's in the Elite Eight. Will play. And whether or not she goes overseas and plays and takes her talents, we'll see. But for now, I mean, coming out this year, Bunny Shaw's, I think, is probably one of the highest rated players, and especially in the attack. Ali Watt out of Texas A&M, DiBiase, Stanford, Rasiopi at Duke. I mean, the list is on, and these are all players who have perennially been in U20s, U17s, 15s, 16s. They've just been in every level. So these are national team level players that are going to make an impact in the NWSL, not just fill spots as we go through our seventh season.
Coach Mittner says, or Missmer says that he thinks Stanford looks so solid. PSU's playing great. NC is always a threat. I think I'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to our friend Don Crow, UNC grad, only lost her only game to Duke. I always have to throw that in there. So, we want to give them a shot. There's so many good teams here. And, with Alberto, with your team being on the boys side and even on the 3-3 side, are there things that you find yourself in when you are in your offseason and you're watching just any game that you can see? Are there things that you are finding from a Division I women's team, or maybe if there's coaches that in the women's game, whether it's D1, D2, D3, or at the pro level, that you're picking up and saying, okay, how can I take that and twist it to work for my guys?
Yeah, of course. So my school is a little bit different. Our D3 actually has a reserve team as well, and I help a lot more on the reserve side, but obviously I help with the first team. But just seeing small things, we play the right way. A lot of we don't play kickball, that's per se. So we play a lot of playing out of the back. So it's nice to see a lot of the D1, D2 schools playing the game the proper way, rather than having a super physical number 9, up top, and really big burly center backs. We like to play the right way, and it's nice to see that the D1, D2 schools are playing the proper way, and that's what we like to bring to our school.
It's always funny that when you hear about teams that are playing the proper way. So I kind of, as everybody's heard through the show before, this fall I had a 2016, and the boys they learned to play out of the back, and they moved the ball so well. And we would lose to teams because they would just pumpkin chuck it up to one guy who was super, super fast and then go score. And I see Kat laughing. I don't know if she's pumpkin chucking or what it was, but feel free to use it. I figured in the South you guys would have that already. But the teams would just kick it up front to one player. And when we would lose those games, those coaches would come up to our boys and say, "You're the best player. You're the best team in this league, because you actually play soccer the right way, and you're building it out of the back, and you're passing the ball around to create opportunities for each other." And it's funny how I think even at the college level, I think it's hard for them to see that, especially because everybody's thinking results. Well, if I'm playing well, or if I'm playing the right way, we're not winning. There's ways to get around that. And how with your guys, if you do have that problem, if guys are playing well but they just feel down because the results aren't coming, what is it that you do with your team to kind of get them to see that, hey, playing the right way is a good thing? Like, even if we're losing, we're playing the right way. It's going to take us into the next game.
It's a culture. It's believing in what we're actually doing. The results come, but we just really have to be patient, especially for a lot of the freshmen coming in. It might be different from what their old club did, or being a D3, you don't get to pick top players per se. Maybe some of the players that we want, but we try to emphasize playing the best way we can, and usually we do really well. I mean, we had a really, really good season for our first team, and our reserve team had a really good season as well. So it shows. The head coach has been there for 17 years, and he's done really, really well for himself. And he's really well known in the Atlanta area. So usually the players that we do pick are the players that actually already believe in that system.
And Alex, you're just you're getting ready to graduate, and you're still doing the college thing, still for the brand, hashtag for the brand, kicking the football 75 yards at a time. What are things that, because I know that you study the game a lot. You mentioned you were down to see FSU play. As you prepare to go to that next step in your coaching career, actually that first step in your coaching career as graduating, what are the things that you're taking from the games that you've seen lately that you want to implement as soon as you get started?
Yeah, so I think watching the college game and even the pro game and the international game is kind of just seeing what that quality is and knowing what the top level looks like. Because, I think someone mentioned it at one point that, like, if you're coaching high school or club soccer and you don't know what a Division I team looks like, how can you tell a Division I coach that that your kid's a Division I talent? Like, you can't. So I think that's a big thing that I take from, is that if I want to help coach at the highest level I can, I need to know what the highest level looks like, so that I know that, all right, this player is legit and can play at the next level even after college. I'm working with one of the girls at Valpo now who's seriously contemplating playing pro, and I'm supporting and helping her however I can. And if I'm not watching those pro games, there's no way that I can tell her that she's capable of doing that. I think that's the important part of being able to watch as much as you can as a coach.
And Ian, I believe you have a devil's advocate that you like to play.
So to kind of go back to what you said before, and I've had this conversations with other coaches, and it'll be interesting to see what people here say. It's like, as we talk about playing the right way, what dictates and who defines what playing the right way is?
That is a very, very good question. I think for me, playing the right way, at least in my eyes, is like with my club, playing the right way is what our curriculum tells us to. I don't think, as I sit here and we joke on the pumpkin chucking thing, that's got Kat laughing again. Maybe that's the right way for that team to play. But when you pumpkin chuck, you just kick along, you're only focusing on one person. So I think that that's a very, very good question. What is the right way to play? Kat, what do you think? What is the quote unquote right way to play?
I think it kind of depends. Like, everybody has their own definition of the right way to play. And I feel like it kind of depends on what you're trying to achieve. Are you wanting to win games and get instant gratification and get results, and the only way to beat a team is to be super direct? Then that may be the right way. Like, I don't think there's a direct answer for it, because I think the right way is also different in very many different ways. Because if you're like college coaches, I feel, I'm not one, never been one, but I feel like it's more results oriented. So if you have to play more direct against a team, then that is the right way in that circumstance for your team to play. But if you watch cultures around the world, like, there's certain styles for certain coaches that's the right way for them. I think it just comes back to your coaching principles and what you're about specifically and what you're trying to accomplish. And like, as a youth coach, I want to develop players, but just kicking a ball long, I'm only developing one or two players, not a team. And my job is to develop a team of players so that when they get to the college level, they're going to be able to do certain things and have certain qualities that coaches want. So I kind of feel like it just depends on the area you're in and what you're trying to achieve as a coach.
Alberto, what do you think?
Fully agree. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on what kind of team you have as well. I mean, I'm a firm believer that, you know, whatever you try, so whatever your culture is, I'm sure you can shape your players to do that. But it's just what you're looking for, you know. I also coach club, and I see a lot of, you know, U12 players and U12 coaches just playing very, very direct. And obviously that's there's very much result driven rather than development driven. And I'm just very much on development. I'm very much on the development side of the game. When it's D3, so I'm trying to develop these players at the end of the day. And yeah, that's my take on it.
It's a very good discussion, and Ian, excellent job on coming up with that one. That's a very big thing, because I think in soccer, if you are learning under someone good, they're always going to say, this is how I do it, but you're going to do it differently because you got to do what works for you. And I think that brings up a very good point of what exactly is the right way to play. And I think that it all depends on what you as a coach are trying to do. And at the same time, what is right for your players. So, you know, Clifton, in your sense, how many teams have you coached where maybe playing the right way for one team is completely different for the next?
I mean, I think as everybody said, it's defined, well, especially Kat, like I think it's defined on your principles. So the right way is defined on the principles that you need to get out of the team that you have. And so for me, every team is different. Every team is, there are very few coaches, in my opinion, that can do, you know, if you're Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, you know, you're some of the top 4 or 5 coaches in the world, and you can recruit the exact player to the exact position for your exact style, then sure, play however you want, whether that be direct, indirect, you know, it doesn't matter. If you're one of those coaches, then you do whatever it is that you feel like is necessary for you to win matches. In the development world, that's a whole different thing. I don't work in the development world. But I think for me, it's about the decision making. So the right way is, are you teaching your players, whether they're pros or 6-year-olds, how to make the best decision for the moment? And sometimes that best decision is a direct ball over the top, in behind, because it creates you an opportunity to score. It increases your range of passing. It increases your ability to see and have vision. Sometimes it's an indirect pass. Sometimes it's seeing a third man run. Sometimes, so the decision-making process for me is how I define the right way. It is, are my players making the appropriate decisions in the appropriate situation the majority of the time? And so every team I've coached, that's how it is that I try to coach players is, hey, can we make better decisions? What was the decision that you made? What was the reason? Did you have a reason? And so for me, every team is different, because you're coaching different personalities who see things and have different perspectives.
Ian, how often do you play devil's advocate and things like this? I feel like that's your thing.
All the time.
So basically, we're all going to have answers to things, and Ian's going to send up a little text or in the chat thing, which I don't know if you guys can see it or have access to it. But if you go in the chat, you can just type in a message and it will pop up and we'll all be able to see it. So if you have a question in the middle of somebody answering, just pop that up so that way we can make sure to get the microphone on you. So I'm sure that as you all give answers, Ian is going to play devil's advocate and go after each and every single one of us, because that's what he does, especially when you have a university named after yourself. I'm going to go over to Alex again. Alex, with the things that you've picked up lately, just been learning, and this is more geared towards you than else, because you're still a student, you're just now getting into things. How much has interacting with the coaches on Soccer Chat really helped you? Because, you know, as being a current college student, you can't go away to coaching courses. You can't attend various things because you're a student athlete, you're a football player, you're coaching soccer at the same time. How important for you is doing things like Soccer Chat, where you're getting information and just constantly building that network?
Yeah, I mean, I think at where I'm at in my career, it's crucial, being able to see as many different ideas as possible, and being able to meet and network with as many coaches as possible. Like I said, I've talked privately with 7, 8 different coaches that I've met solely on Soccer Chat. And it's been awesome to be able to talk to them and kind of just bounce my ideas and different things off of them. And kind of, I've actually helped some people with, I just try to pass my certified strength and conditioning specialist exam in July. And there's been 2 or 3 people on Soccer Chat that I've been able to help them out, which has been something that has really kind of validated me in what I'm doing. That, all right, I can cook it all in and not be leeching off everybody just trying to learn. So it's been awesome being able to kind of be a part of this whole community.
Let's see here. We've got some more replies on Twitter currently of people making their picks for the women's national tournament. Coach Ellis Riley, another Soccer Chat alum, says he's going for UNC to edge it out. Let's see, at CB Soccer Guy is saying either Georgetown or UNC. Conspicuous by his absence because he is absolutely destroying his own pumpkin pie that his mother made him make instead of her making him make. Or instead of making her make, she made him made it. Nick Rizzo says, if UCLA beats UNC, I think they have it. Stanford did not. If not, that's a very wise way to go. Just pick 3 or 4 teams there, Nick. That's what you can do. So, Ian, this one kind of goes back to you because somebody did respond. We put in our Soccer Chat, question 2 is from me. What dictates the right way to play? So, Brandon Misaraka says, at the youth level, a focus on completing successful passes. That's it. At the college level, there's really no quote unquote right way for every team. Only has to be the right way for each team. Ian, what would be your response to that?
Repeat that, please.
At the youth level, a focus on completing successful passes. That would be it. At the college level, there's really no right way for every team. Only the right way for each team.
I'd agree. And especially with the second part, speaking of the collegiate level and kind of what your systems are and your league and things like that. The first part, I really haven't coached, youth club in a really, really long time. So, I think that's a debatable thing, at least in my mind, as I've seen and talked with some youth coaches, like it's, a lot of it's, the connecting passes, or it's the, getting the 5,000 juggles and doing all these other sorts of things. And so I guess like from a club standpoint, I would love to hear, or from the true youth level, I'd love to hear some feedback on that.
At CB Soccer Guy actually has a response for that as well. It says, there's no right way to play the game or even coach the game. That's what makes our sport so special and unique. Everybody sees it differently, and everybody teaches it differently. Everybody has their own preferred way to play or system to use. And at Coach Prunt says, game of opinions must have a way. Too many forget that. For youth, a positional possession style develops all players and principles of the game can still win and develop by the way. So, Kat, what would be your or Coach Horton? Actually, Coach _Horton has a very good one. Number for Ian's question, it's happiness. That's the right way to play the game. So, Kat, what would kind of be your response? I think everybody's kind of along the same lines of you, as it really depends on what your team is. But do you think that it is an age-appropriate question? Maybe there is a right way to play the older you are compared to youth players.
Well, I mean, I think like for me, I have 3 different teams, and they're all 3 different age groups, from U13, just learning to play 11-a-side, to U15 to U18, and I have to coach them all differently. But it doesn't change like my principles. Like I'm a possession-oriented coach. Like I want to build out of the back. I want to play possession soccer, but there's a time and the place for the ball over the top or the through ball. And it's teaching kids to recognize, oh my gosh, you're taking a selfie right now. And I just got distracted.
Well, no, it's because we're telling everybody to show us that they're watching, and well, I'm participating, so I'm going to show it. I admit it.
Sorry, Square. I saw something shiny and I just went with it. Anyway, so I think going with it kind of depending on your style, but even at the younger ages, like if you're not teaching them how to make decisions and how to technically be able to trap and pass the ball, what's the point of playing a more direct soccer? Because if they can't trap and pass the ball, even if they can hit a rolling ball at them, can the person that's on the other end of it receive it? So I kind of think it goes back to the principles and what you want to do as a coach. And for me, if my players can't pass and trap the ball at 9, 10, 11, how are you going to be able to play direct when you're 13, 14, 15? And I kind of feel like they bounce off of each other. So I don't even know if that answers the question, but I feel like it might.
I bet it does. I bet it does. Because every answer you give is the best, Kat. Don't let anybody tell you any differently.
Well, thanks, Sean. Yours.
A lot of people are popping on saying, they got family things going on, so they're not able to get in, and that's cool. That's what this is all about. Soccer Chat, you can go back at any time. If you get stuff tomorrow or today, if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, by the way. If you're stuffed, you've already undone the button and the belt loop, and you got that food itis. You know what I'm talking about. You get the itis when you eat, and you're listening to this, or you're going back. You can go back and answer the questions. Our next one actually comes to us from Alex. Alex submitted this question earlier this week. He said, with that time of year coming around, any coaches have specific tips or advice for coaching interviews? Who here has some advice for Mr. Alex? Would that be you, Alberto?
Man. Just be yourself. Just honestly be yourself. I try to throw in humor in my interview. Might not be the most professional thing, but I just try to be myself at all times.
Well, I think humor is right, because you do have to show you yourself, your personality,
Sure.
Because they want to hire. It's not about what you can do as a coach and what you can make people do. It's about you as well, because you have to be somebody that they can bring in. So humor's fine. I think I'm fine with humor. Alberto, you bring humor to when I'm interviewing you, and I'm going to love you.
Yeah, it's your personality.
Alex, you know what? I know you had asked this online, and I know you had gotten some responses. What were kind of some of the feedback that you got from people on that one?
I got, I think, only like one or two, but basically it was to be yourself. That was the main thing that both of the responses were. I asked because I'm getting into that phase where I'm getting into a couple of interviews, couple of phone interviews, and just wondering if there's anything that could kind of help me out there.
Clifton, do you got any advice for young Alex?
Oh goodness, I wish. No, I'm trying to try and do it myself and figure out what on earth is going on. So I feel like as many times as I've done it, I still don't know that I ever really get it right. But
yeah, because like no two interviews are ever the same.
And it's what I would say is a couple of things. First is know who you're interviewing with as well as you possibly can. So whoever is the hiring manager, the head coach, if you're having to talk to an athletic director or whatever it might be, an SWA, if you're in women's side of the college game, know who that is and know what they're about. So that way you can absolutely get yourself, you can speak the right language. And that's a lot of it, is like, can you speak the language that is inside their environment, inside their culture? And so I think that would be one thing for me, is like, yeah, I think somebody said here, like, do your homework, like make sure you know who those people are and what they're about. I would say the second thing is, like, once you know and you're there and you're at the interview, is can you impact the interview as much as you can? And so I think the best way to do that is to have very good questions for them. So a lot of times you're going to answer and you're going to say, what you're about, what's your philosophy, and everybody, make sure you have all that stuff ready and prepared to answer all the questions that are going to come. But I think one of the things that really separates good interviewers from your average interviewer is somebody who has good questions to ask of the interviewee. So, if there may be things culturally that don't fit. There may be things that, you're about that they aren't. Like, you want to interview them as much as they're interviewing you, because everybody needs to have the job fit, be good. That's just the nature of it. You don't want to be stuck somewhere in a year or two, miserable, because you didn't understand what was going to be demanded of you. And so for me, I think those would be the two things that I would advise: is learn as much about whoever's interviewing you, and then make sure that you have good quality questions prepared for your interviewee that get you as much information about the job that you need.
And Alberto, I know you had mentioned you had wrote in the little chat about doing your homework. You want to add to that?
No, I mean, just know if you're going to for a college interview, for example, know how they did during the season. Talk about it. Talk about big wins. Talk about the way they play. Just know about who you're who's interviewing you. Just do your homework.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with Corey Reinard says for Alex, he says, know the team, system, and style. Be yourself. Be confident in your skill and your knowledge. That's absolutely a big thing to do when it comes for job interviews. I think, I kind of mentioned no interviews are ever the same. They're all different. I've been to interviews where I literally walked in. They said, we've called your references. And yada, yada, yada. And I was never asked a question. I may have said 2 sentences and that was it. And then I've been in some where they just absolutely grill you like an interrogation. Coach Brandon also says, Alex, he says, show that you've done your research, talk about the university as much as the program, and be confident. And I know that our man, Ian, you've got some more to add to that.
I think that's one of the big things is we talk about knowing the department and knowing the program, but I think know the institution and know the type of institution that you're interviewing at. If you're someone that is, that you're not very religious, maybe interviewing at a school that's very religious, maybe that may not be in your wheelhouse, and know those sorts of things, because that will impact your team's culture, and the way things happen within the department, within the team, and on a much larger scale.
That's for sure. You kind of got to know everything that's going on. Let's see here. I know that this is kind of the season where the jobs are opening and people are getting involved and going on doing their interviews. It'd be not like us if we didn't wish well wishes to anybody who's going out doing those job interviews. However, Soccer Chat can help you out. Let everybody know we're here for you. If you are kind of in the same boat as Alex and you're starting to do the job interviews, reach out to anybody. Just go on #SoccerChat. See all the people who get involved and feel free to contact any of them. Any of us who's on here right now, we want to help you all as much as we can, because that's what Soccer Chat is definitely all about. As we got probably about, I think about 20, 25 minutes here to go. Alex, I think, did you just say that you were signed up for convention this week? I think it was.
I did, yeah. Just through that, I signed up. I'm making the trip to Chicago.
Okay, so I saw that, and you got crazy amounts of likes and retweets from big name people. Alex, what are you doing to get the attention of these folks?
I don't know. It's got to be Soccer Chat, right?
Hey, we will gladly get on your coattail and ride that thing as long as we can. We'll take that.
Well, let's. Where's the name drop here? I don't. Who? For those of us who didn't see it, I want to see.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to pull it up here. Let's see here. Okay. Alex, he tweeted out, just registered to go to the United Coaches Convention this January for the first time. Can't wait to meet and learn from some of the greatest coaches in the world. And let's see, we've got David Robertson, who is a Soccer Chat alum. Let's see here. We've got I did see Ellis Riley, big time baller. But the biggest baller of them all who liked it was the real Coach Sam. Sam Etherington was the biggest baller who liked it. And I saw that there were some retweets as well from that. So if you are going to convention, make sure to hit up Alex and hit up all of us who will be attending. Is anybody else in here going to convention?
Yeah, I'll be. 100%. Yeah, I'll be at convention. Probably trying to cover we're looking into covering the draft for the podcast. So we're looking into covering the NWSL draft for all the listeners out there in the world. And Alex, you got one more. You got one more like. You got one more like.
Hey, there we go. getting him set up. So like especially with convention coming up, it's a big thing. If you don't know anything about it, just go on at United Soccer or United Coaches. They will get you connected. You're going to absolutely love your time at convention. I've been 3 times, I believe, and I hurt myself every year that I don't go because of how much I learn from it. And we're going to get to our next question as we get ready to wrap up here. We're going to start off with Kat because I know she's been dying to get some more answers. This is from at Beach Daddy. He says, "Chat Soccer. I hope I don't get too much grief for calling out United States soccer. But as an yeah, that's why we picked you, Kat. He says, but as an aspiring coach, why should we trust USSF and their coaching resources, follow their timelines, and etc., when it doesn't look like they can produce a top-level coach of their own?" And he replied back to that as saying, "This mainly sparks from the lack of international and club coaches at the top levels. Yes, I do realize this is apples to oranges comparison, but I do believe there is some validity to the question." And the fact that I said validity correctly, I think gets me 10 points, but we're not around the horn, so I can't give myself 10 points. Kat, what's your response to that?
So why should we go U.S. soccer route of education? Is that the main point?
I think kind of because I think what he's trying to say is we have all these coaching courses, we have all these things going on, but it doesn't seem like around the world, people who are completing those are getting these big, I don't know whether he's trying to say like these big jobs or maybe not the recognition, but if that's what we're striving for, why are we not producing? Why is Barcelona not knocking down a coach's door who has a US or a USSF A license?
I mean, I don't even know if I know the answer to that, but like for me, it's just like I have aspirations to be at the highest level possible, but the only way to do that is to go through these courses, and it's a kind of about networking too. So it's not just the course itself, like you can learn a ton from going to these courses, but you're going to meet a ton of people as well while you're on these courses. So how much can you just absorb and learn? And then how many, like who can you meet and how can you network? And like, that's why I love like Soccer Chat. Like I get to talk to all of y'all and challenge myself on a daily basis with soccer. So whether you're going US soccer or United Soccer Coaches, like I'm going up both routes because I'm trying just to get as much information as possible. Like I don't know that Barcelona is ever going to come knocking at my door for the women's side, but
they probably will.
Maybe one day. I mean, I'm not going to say that's not possible. I mean, there's a needle in a haystack somewhere. It might be a very big haystack, but it could happen. But the more you can educate yourself, I think the better off you are. I don't think you can just limit it because, like, yeah, we're not maybe producing these coaches, but if we're not educating coaches in the first place, are we ever going to get there anyways?
Yeah. So, and what you're saying is spot on. I think part of what this is asking as well is like the curriculum portion is like, should coaches at a youth level be following US soccer curriculum and, be getting behind a USSF model of play, as well as like, part of it is licensure, but part of it is a model of play, part of it is resources, part of it is like, how do you produce a top player? As some, like, I'm not necessarily in the college game, so I would defer to somebody who coaches a ton of youth athletes to like, is that something that you follow? Is that something that you are comfortable following based on the way that the US soccer teams are going right now?
Well, for me, I'm talking more on the youth side. I also am a director at a club for the 9 to 12s on the girls' side. So for me, the reason why I do the licenses is, to educate myself at the end of the day. I'm doing the USSF right now.
Which one?
I'm taking the C.
Okay, cool.
Very, very soon. I'm also looking into the route of United Soccer Coaches, which I think I go straight to Advanced National. And then, have already looked at the UEFA licenses as well, the FA as well. I have friends that have done it, and I think the more education that you get from different sources, the best way you can mesh them all together and find something that works for you.
It's I know there are a lot of people who are trying desperately to get Canadian addresses so they can go get the Canadian B, because it seems like a very, very big license for people to have. I've actually looked into in my time in Michigan, because I was like, I'm only 4 hours away from Canada, I can go get a Canadian license. Canada has, before you can do their B or A, they have this, I wish I knew the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a licensing, and it's a course that's specifically based about player development and like individual skills. And they highly suggest it. And I wish I knew the name of it. I had it memorized in my time that I was in Michigan, but I don't have it now. But it was a almost like just how to make your youth players even more technical than what they are already. And I think that was just like, when I kind of looked at the curriculum for, I was like, man, like this is incredible. And you can you add this to your repertoire, and you notice that your players are getting better. Because I've watched some Canadian national teams on the youth level, and they've been super, super technical. I've coached against some of the top Canadian club teams at the 18s, the 19s, the 16s, the 17s levels, and they're some of the most technical players I've ever seen. So I'm thinking, well, hey, if that's what these coaches have and their players are doing that, then maybe that's something that I should look into. So I think, and on Twitter right now, everybody's kind of going back and forth about it, because everybody says the same thing of, it's important to have the USSF. It's important to have the licensing and stuff. But at the same time, like, you've got to be creative enough, and USSF has to be able to allow you to think outside the box and things along that. And I know that, Kat, you had a question kind of for it.
Kind of going along with like the curriculum part. Like, if they're handing down this curriculum and this is what we're supposed to be doing, but we all don't buy into it, like, I guess it's more towards the player development. Are we going to develop the kind of players that U.S. Soccer is looking for? So if you're going to these courses and they're saying this is the curriculum, and 3 people take it back and they're doing it, and the rest are like, well, I just regurgitated information so that they know that I get it, but I just do my own thing. Are we hindering, helping? How are we helping in that process as coaches if we're not all buying in to what U.S. Soccer or United Soccer Coaches is trying to teach on a curriculum basis?
And that's a very good point, actually, because I've talked on the show before about going to places, and when you have a technical director who's saying these different things, and you have the coaches who are like, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, if those coaches don't buy into what the club wants them to do, then why should the kids buy into what the coach wants? And you make up a very valid point. If we're not going to buy into what USSF is telling us, then how do we know if it works or not? That's a very Cat with the boom explosion. Mind blown. Anybody else got anything for that?
I mean, and here's like aligning with a goal is always going to get you better, right? I mean, like, having some kind of alignment is going to get you further than people going, it's the fingers versus fist kind of a thing, right? Like, it's that kind of a concept. But I think what gets lost a little bit, and I've completed all the way through. So I have a USSF Senior A license.
Whoa!
And so stop, get out of here. So, but I only say that to say this is like, you have to. I think part of the thing to remember is that these coaches. So, like, part of this is very fresh because we were knocked out of the Women's World Cup today. On a pretty bad loss to Germany 4-0. I think what we have to remember is, like, these coaches are trying to coach their own team as well. Like, so they're not immune. U.S. Soccer and the national teams, the youth national teams, aren't immune to the same struggles that we have. Like, you still have an opponent. Like, you still have somebody you're playing against who has differing philosophies, who's training in different environments. And we are the largest country in the world who's playing soccer, and it's very hard to get these kids from all the stuff that everybody's talked about now is the segmentation and buy-in and all licenses, and you have United Soccer Coaches and USSF and UEFA and all these different philosophies. Our country is the melting pot of all of that. So I come back to this alignment portion. Is like somewhere there has to be alignment. Germany has alignment. Spain has alignment. France has alignment. Like the French Federation course that MLS youth coaches have been in the DA have been taking is an amazing technical tactical advancement course. Like that's getting our guys somewhere. So at some point in time, we've got to, as things go, we've got to get that into coaches, Kat and myself in the women's side of the game. We've got to get those kinds of educational opportunities as well. But alignment is important, but we can't lose sight that, Mark Carr lost today, but he was trying to do his best. And I don't know that any of the rest of us, U.S. soccer or otherwise, would have done a different deal. Because he can only work with the team that he has, just like the rest of us. And so I think maybe for me, if I'm being a little bit provocative, the question is a little unfair. I think the U.S. soccer is working in best practices. The national teams work in the real world. And that's two separate questions.
That's and I feel like that's a big thing too in our soccer is what is supposed to work for the national programs, the youth or the senior teams, isn't exactly going to work for my 2002 boys team. It's not exactly going to work for Alberto's team. It's not going to work for Cat's teams. So how can where is that breakdown and where can we change that to make it all match up? The breakdown is me, I think.
Yeah.
No.
For me, it's a follow, and here would be my thing. It's like we talked before. So question one is, it's back to that kind of a thing. It's like, if you're in the DA, what is your goal? Your goal, if you're a boys DA player, your goal is to play professional, which means you're likely going to go into a sub-pro environment to try to get into the MLS or get a contract overseas. If you're in the women's game, you're trying to go to college, Division I, top 50 program so that you can then get yourself drafted. There's a level for everybody. If you're playing in a D3 environment and academics are your focus because you're at an engineering school, you're at Mines, and you're going to go solve the world's engineering problems, then that's a different alignment. So we place the same alignment for national teams and say that it needs to work for everybody. It doesn't. That D3 kid has no business. That's not what they need to be about. What they're doing is enrichment and co-curricular education. It's about learning how to work as a unit and a team so that when they go into an engineering or they go to work for Google, they can go to that place and work in a pod and be effective. That's what their goal is. It's not all about, there are very few of us who work in an environment that is like, you have to prepare pros. And so we don't have to assign the rest of it. And that's fine. That's what U.S. soccer is about. They're about trying to find the next national team members. So if you don't fall in that category, then you do what you have.
That's very true. And Michael Prunty says, lack of success in pricing many out of educational opportunities make it very easy to look elsewhere for educational opportunities. And I think that's a big thing too, because the cost of these classes may also set people off. That may also make us go, oh, well, do I really need that course? Because you sit here and we all know some of our best friends that are coaches that are really, really good, and they've all got these big time licenses. And then we also have our friends who are amazing, great coaches, just as good as the others, but they have nothing. And as whether you're a young coach or you're like myself, married with kids, trying to buy a house, some of these times, some of these courses can price themselves out to where you go, well, do I really need that? Because that's $5,000. I could put that towards my house, or hey, I've got kids, I've got to pay for food and clothes and things along those lines, and tuition, stuff like that. So there's so many things that I feel become this factor of whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. But you've got something to add to that.
Ooh.
Maybe
Ian, that's a tough question.
No, but I think when as he was talking about alignment, I think that's one of the other things. You've got all these different associations, all these different things that are happening. When ECNL first popped up on the girls' side, and U.S. Soccer didn't want to have anything to do with it. Now all of a sudden, a few years later, U.S. soccer wants to have something to do with that elite level on the girls' side and so on and so forth. And I think that, or when you've got, at the local club level, when you've got kids who don't make the A team or the top team of their local club, they decide, oh, I'm going to go start my own club, and that just kind of creates another schism within the alignment of player development. So like that's where I was getting at with that whole alignment thing that I toss out there.
It's another very valid point. We have to make sure to give a shout out to Bobby Papione. He just said happy Thanksgiving to everybody at Soccer Chat, and best wishes to all. Best wishes back to you, Bobby. Best wishes back to you, my friend. A couple weeks ago, we heard Nick talk about he had gotten this email from somebody who listened to the show, and they were going to have a drink and get a bag of Reese's Pieces. And we are joined on Twitter this evening by said coach at Soccer Manthony. Tonight's Soccer Chat is fantastic. Beer, Reese's Pieces, and some great conversation. Happy Thanksgiving to all the coaches. Have you ever done beer with Reese's Pieces? That is the question. I have not. Not my cup of tea to do chocolate and a adult beverage. But that is what it is, I guess. Beach Daddy, who actually sent us that question, is currently answering. If you are on the chat right now, he's currently in Wisconsin hunting, and he just sent us a selfie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. He's in his deer stand right now, getting his hunting on. I'm not a hunter, so I guess knock him dead, literally, at Beach Daddy. Go ahead and knock him dead. You like that? See? I grew up in a town like that. You should know. So as we kind of wrap things up here, this was awesome. This is probably I'll go on the record. This is my favorite Soccer Chat that we've done. This was so cool to do this, have you guys all come on here. I want to do more stuff like this, but unfortunately, with all of our schedules and work on the next day and kids and families, it's kind of hard to do stuff like this. But I hope that we can do it again sometime. As we get out of here, let's go through the order of the screens here of what you guys can see, starting with Alberto. If somebody is listening to this right now and they want to reach out to you to contact you maybe via Twitter or whatever, how can coaches network with you?
They can reach me at Twitter at it's at Coach A_Gonzalez. It's GONZALEZ.
All right, and let's go to Alex.
Yeah, so my Twitter is AlexIng1997. My last name is only 2 letters.
And that makes it easy, just 2 letters. I mean, come on now, that's amazing. And Alex is that young upstart knockout kid. As we've had him on the show before, make sure to follow him. He's an excellent follow. Clifton, how can people get in contact with you if they want to?
Super easy. So Twitter's at Clifton_Bush. You can find me cbush.unca.edu as well if you need to reach out via email. Instagram, same thing, Clifton_Bush, and Facebook as well. So NWSL Rewind, if you are ever out there listening.
After we got everybody's stuff in, but there you go. Get your plug in. Get it in.
Hey, I mean, I'm the shameless plug master here.
You gotta be. All right, and Ian, what about you, man? How can people network with you?
Twitter handle is IGW21, or my work email is iwilson@carthage.edu.
And the lady and the grace and the style and the class of Soccer Chat, Miss Cat, how can people network with you?
Well, I think you gave me a little bit too much credit, but I appreciate it. I am Coach Cat, and it's Cat with a K. So Coach Cat 18 on Twitter and on Instagram. So Coach Cat with a K 18. That's me.
Oh, and Alberto says he has had a great chocolate peanut butter beer, though. Where did that come from?
Well, you were talking about like chocolate and like beer and Reese's together. So I was like, oh, I've had like the combination of two.
This is still a no.
That sounds so
no.
gross.
It's so good. No, it was good. Promise.
I feel like I feel like my wife has had something similar to that, and I remember her being like, surprisingly, it was good. I don't know. When I think of my drinks, I don't want to think of peanut butter and chocolate.
Gnarly as it sounds.
Okay, well, yeah. We'll take your word for it. Anything else that you guys want to get out? Any plugs? You know, Clifton's already done his plugs for the day. Any plugs you guys got out? Maybe it's your club you want to give a shout out to, or just anything soccer related that you want to give a shout out to, or actually, we said we were going to do it. What are you thankful for when it comes to soccer? Anybody can go.
Soccer Chat family. Like, when else do you get to hang out with these people on a weekly basis and talk soccer and not get in arguments and fights, but have like a real discussion?
That's what it's all about.
It's legit. It's a good soccer family. So I'm thankful for you guys.
Oh, we're thankful for you too, Kat. Anybody else? What are you guys thankful for when it comes to soccer related?
Skip. Let's just have someone else have a go first.
And punt. For me, I like, honestly, it's the people, right? I mean, I think the business is about, our business is about people. And so for me, I think this year has been a great year of learning for me. And so I've been super thankful for like just the people that have kind of surrounded me and helped me. And I think the support in this game is second to none. Plus, we've had my personal team has had a bit of tragedy this year. So, a bit of a love out to the Leicester City group and all that was going on over there. And so, just wanted to, I'll leave with that.
Alex, what about you?
Does Alex, sorry. Go ahead, Alex. Apologies.
Oh, my bad. Alex is on that college.
I mean, kind of repeat. No, you're good. No, you guys are fine. I mean, kind of just to repeat what Kat said, being thankful that this is, it's a lag for me, and kind of thankful that this is even a profession that we get to do this every day, and like we barely work a day in our lives, and we do what we love.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And Alberto, what are you thankful for when it comes to soccer?
Right now, I'm thankful for good Wi-Fi. No, I'm just kidding.
Bang, 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 bang. The thing goes blah, blah, blah.
I am thankful that Arsenal's actually having a good season.
Oh, okay.
I'm thankful that we got the 2026 bid. That's pretty major. And I'm thankful for the people that I've met this year. I've met some really, really great people, and I've had a new change of environment. I moved from Orlando City to Atlanta. So I'm really, really thankful for the opportunities I've had this year.
Ian?
I'd say they just like having a great coaching network and a great group of coaching friends. I don't think I would be in this position, at being a college head coach if it wasn't for, you, Rizzo, Don, Bianca, and some other great mentors and friends, coaching friends that I have in my life. So, I think having, that great kind of core group to kind of, bounce things off of and kind of having those random conversations has been great.
That's you guys basically hit the nail on the head. I mean, I can sit here and say I'm not going to try to speak for Nick, but I think that we would definitely say that Soccer Chat is what we are thankful for, and the people that we've met, the connections that we made. We go on and on. I know on the show sometime about our little group text that we have that I'm in with Ian and some of the other guys and girls who have been on the show before. And like, that is one of the best things that's happened to me as a coach. And I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for the chats on Wednesday nights. And I think the ability to develop professionally every single week rather than have to wait and schedule a class and pay for a class. You can do it every single Wednesday night. And like Kat said, there's no arguing or fighting. There's professional debates and understanding someone else's opinion and getting to understand why they do things the way they do. You can't ask for anything better than that. I mean, it's a place of no hate. We love everybody. We want everybody to come in and we can we all develop and things along those lines. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for my entire soccer family. Big shout out to Alderson Brosh University, Coach Phipps, all the lads there. Jaron Holm with the girls team. Also my club team, Indiana Fire Junior South. We're doing big things. We're getting there. We're on our way back up. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Midland Soccer Club, George Hayjay, who I learned so much from in my time up there. I'm very, very thankful for the things that he was able to get into my thick brain to allow me to learn to make myself even better. So it's all about Soccer Chat. It's all about being thankful. And this was the first ever Soccer Chat Friendsgiving, and we had an excellent panel with us here. We had Clifton Bush, we had Alberto Gonzalez, Alex Ing, Kat Nichols, and Ian Wilson. And I'm just so happy that we got together. We did this. Everybody, you know what it is. The best part about all this is that we get to do it again next week. Everybody, we'll catch you later.
Check out that World Cup U17.